and welcome to the Moonshine Jesus Show. We're glad to be back with you today as we talk
Woohoo!
about strange new worlds. We are brought to you, as always, by the Center for Progressive Christianity, a wonderful place to get all your progressive Christian resource needs. It's been leading the progressive Christian movement for over 30 years now. The Christian Left, a nationwide ministry and community for Christians, progressives, and allies, and the Progressive Christian Alliance, a movement and denomination that relies on people and rallies together around the principles of justice, respect, and inclusion. All incredible organizations. Hope you will check all of those out and follow them on social media. I am joined, as always, by Mark Sandlin. How you doing today, Mark?
I am doing exceptionally well. How about you, sir?
I'm doing great. You ready to talk about strange new worlds today?
Well, we might as well. It's funny to let folks know that about 3 hours ago, we thought we were talking about two different things. But now we know we're on the same page and we're both excited about it, right? This is going to be fun.
Mark, here's the thing. Like, we have tried for months to find good, interesting things to talk about, and it's been a little sparse. And now all of a sudden we are flooded with so much good stuff that we weren't even sure what we were going
Which
to
one we were talking
about. Exactly. And so we are talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds today.
Absolutely.
But before we do,
yes,
we need some alcoholic beverages to really get the conversation flowing. You got something?
Absolutely. Well, I made something up based on the second episode. Spock is given a drink that makes him a little loopy headed. So, and it's a little green drink. So I have made up a green beverage. I'm calling it the something you definitely want, because that's what the bartender told him.
It's
something you definitely want. And I made mine with citrus vodka, orange juice, blue curacao, and just a little bit of absinthe, just to give it that dreamy little effect. So, and I, of course, put it in my Star Trek glass. So, I'm calling it the something you definitely want. How about you? I liked your reaction when I told you what I did. So I have a suspicion you may have gone in a similar direction.
Well, I actually, here's what I thought. When I was watching that episode, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. There are lots of cool drinks here. And I thought, Mark is definitely going to do that. And so
you did
it. And so I'm going to do something different. I went with just a Romulan ale. And so it is blue curacao, grapefruit bitters, and some ginger ale. And I've got it kind of in this Star Trek futuristic flute here. So cheers to you, Mark. Let's have a drink. Let's come back and let's talk about Star Trek Strange New
Indeed.
Moonshine Jesus. Moonshine Jesus. Moonshine Jesus. Moonshine Jesus. Won't you shine?
Welcome back, and welcome to our Geeking Out segment. And just in case, just so you know, we will be spoiling the first two episodes of season 3 of Strange New Worlds. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want them spoiled, put a little pause on this, catch them, and come back. And for those of you who don't mind if it's spoiled and maybe haven't seen it, I'm going to catch you up real quickly on the two episodes. So our first one is a continuation of the cliffhanger from last year. And in this episode, Hegemony Part 2, Captain Pike leads a daring mission to rescue his crew and civilians from the Gorn, using a risky solar flare trick to force the alien predators into hibernation. And then in episode 2, the Wedding Bell Blues, the tone basically shifts pretty hard as the Enterprise is pulled out of a surreal alternative reality by the mischievous Trelane, who orchestrates a fake wedding between Spock and Chapel. So it's two very different kinds of episodes going on there. So were you excited to be back into the Star Trek rhythm here now that we're kind of dead in the center of the expanse of of Strange New Worlds. I mean, like, we're only going to get 5 seasons of this, and this is the beginning of the middle season. Are you ready for this? Have you been anticipating?
Man, I've been psyched about it. It's been 2 years since we've had a new season of Strange New Worlds. And as we've talked about before, we're not getting 24 episode seasons every year anymore. And so we've really got to appreciate what we have. And I've got to tell you that it's worth the wait with Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds is one that I just love. I feel like for the past 20 years or so, Star Trek has not been on the right course. That
Agreed.
I really,
and I'm gonna have maybe a question about sort of that in a little bit too, but I agree.
Okay. Yes. And I'll tell you, I feel like they were really trying to copy Star Wars, the Star Wars model. And
it does feel a little bit like it went somewhere towards that, didn't it?
Yeah, like we missed some of the point of Star Trek. And I think Star Trek Discovery was a pretty good indication of how that played out for many seasons, or for at least the first couple. And I think
and we're not
World
saying
really good.
Not saying that was bad. It just wasn't. It lost some of the core of Star Trek. At least it felt like it.
I would say that parts of it were bad because
really?
I feel like
we're gonna disagree on that.
Look, I feel like Star Trek Discovery, if they had said it after the 24th century, after the events of Next Generation and Voyager and all that, they could have told the same story without messing with canon. And I'm not like real strict about canon. I don't want to be one of those, Mark, but I kind of am. And
you
like
are a little bit.
And if they had said it after, we could have not messed with canon. But the great thing about Discovery, from my perspective, is that we got a backdoor pilot for Strange New Worlds. And Strange New Worlds, for me, has been something that has consistently delivered. It's had a good mix. As you said, in this, we did get a really hard pivot, but we have had a good mix of like serious stuff and kind of campy things as well. And I've appreciated that. So I was excited about it coming back.
Good.
I couldn't wait. I was glad to kind of absorb the first few episodes. How about you? How did you feel about it?
I was thrilled out of my mind. It felt like we'd waited too long. And then as I was anticipating the release date, like, oh, we're finally going to get it, because along with you, this is one of my favorite iterations of Star Trek. And I love the casting. I love the storytelling. I love how they've gone back to the roots of what Star Trek's supposed to be about. I was very excited, and like I said, great anticipation, and I was not disappointed. So here's the question about episode 1 that I have for you.
Yes.
Turning the Enterprise into a sun. Is that taking it too far? I mean, did you buy it?
Look, I almost interrupted you when you were giving that and said, a bunch of Star Trek mumbo jumbo, because that is, I think, one of the flaws of Star Trek, is that on the one hand, you get like this dreaming about technology that is beyond what we've got, right? That has led to real practical things. And did you see, like, they've now invented transparent aluminum? Like Star Trek,
and
a real thing.
Wood.
And transparent wood?
Wood transparent.
Oh my God. Amazing. So like Star Trek has inspired all kinds of stuff. But I think on the other side, one of the cautions we get here is that they also make up a bunch of random junk that doesn't really mean anything. And and so like when we got to that point, I'm like, a solar flare, like, okay, whatever. We need to end the episode. Here's a way to end it. Okay. So
I don't know, man.
I kind of stretch the believability.
I agree. And I think part of the problem is that so much of what they do is pretty believable and based on some science. And we've seen, like you said, we've seen it play out in real life, because it is that. For me, that makes this stuff where they basically turn the Enterprise into a sun less like it's off-putting almost. It's like, oh, come on. You don't have to just make some kind of crap up that isn't going to be anywhere close to a reality. I wanted them to do better, man. I wanted them to do better.
I guess, that whole episode, well, one, I think it's tough to end on a cliffhanger and then carry on the story after 2 years. I think
Yeah.
that's tough to do, to
That
pull
was
off.
tough. If it, I found myself rewatching the recap a couple of times, just
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
get my head wrapped back around
Yeah.
who was where and what were they doing and then what was going on with the Gorn. And by the way, the Gorn, what do you think about the reimagining of the Gorn? Because it is a pretty drastic change from the last time in the last Star Trek where the Gorn showed up. They're pretty drastically different looking and even acting character. Or what did you think of that change?
Look, I think it's good to reimagine them from their original series because obviously in the original series, what we've got is like a dude in an obvious like Halloween costume today.
What?
That
Did
might
it look
be
real to you?
come on, man. It's like yes, it was so great. The graphics were so wonderful. No, I mean it looks like it today if someone had gone to a Spirit of Halloween store and bought a Gorn costume, So I mean, obviously we don't want to do that, and they had to.
They look like Slee Stacks is what they look like. I mean, they look like Slee Stacks.
Yeah.
It's like I think that they just went after the Land of the Lost had filmed. They went and got the Slee Stacks and repainted them.
Give us those. Give us those. Can we reuse the sets too? So I mean, obviously they had to reimagine it from that. The thing I was thinking about as I was thinking about the Gorns and the reimagining is that much like you've had big bads throughout Star Trek series where kind of they're inhuman, right? They're just this big bad evil beyond like that's kind of what the Gorn are. I think you can get away with it a little bit more here because then like you could if we were trying to do that now about like the way the original Trek did with Klingons and the way that Next Generation say did with the Borg, although the Borg got humanized over the course of the series.
Sure.
That I think what allows this to happen is it's kind of like reptiles and it's not maybe as sentient, although they do have spacecrafts and things. Yeah. So I think I'm okay with it, but it's also like there's not any humanization of the enemy. Is that good or bad? I don't know, but I think it was necessary to kind of reinvent them a bit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there was a good move. I don't love it, but it's the right move, so I'll go with that. And talking about did they pull it off kind of thing, what did you think about the change? We had basically a horror show in episode 1, and then sort of I don't know a mystery comedy in episode 2. What did you think about that hard shift? Which this show has done from time to time. What do you think about that hard shift? Do you like that? Do you care? Does it feel like they? I don't know. What did you think about it? Does it feel okay? Or did they pull it off?
I definitely noticed the tonal difference because they also released episodes 1 and 2 together
at the same time. Yeah,
and then episode 3 when we get that not today but for those who are watching it is about a zombie planet, and so like it is like a lot of shifting, and so I think that I think it works for this show, but I think that's one of the things I enjoy about it is you never quite know what you're going to get, kind of like in Doctor Who, you never quite know what the episode is going to be, and it's I think that's okay, but it does, like, if you're watching them back to back, it does kind of feel like different shows, almost. And I did notice it more this season than I had in previous seasons, and so it is something that stood out to me as well. What do you think?
Yeah, this one felt like a harder gear shift than maybe other years, and I don't know why, because the musical that they did should have felt like, but I think that the one I can't exactly remember, but I'm guessing because it didn't feel like such a hard shift that the show before it wasn't such an opposite kind of horror or severe fighting or something, and it was a more subtle shift. This one felt like it was going from a fifth to reverse like in an instant, and I was almost waiting for the engine to fall out kind of thing. I liked both episodes,
Yes.
but it feels like there's a bit of identity being lost because of these hard shifts.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to eat, like, I felt like for me, maybe there should have been a show in between these two shows that kind of allowed me to move into it with the characters. Didn't hate it, loved both shows, but it did feel a little like it was weird shifting for me. All right, here's the question I alluded to that I wanted to get to. Do you think, when you think particularly of episode 1, the sort of PTSD level traumatization of some of the characters, is the show still rooted in sort of the Roddenberry optimism? Or is it starting to head towards more of another space trauma reacting to? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
I think that one of the issues that Star Trek has had over the past 20 years, that we were talking about earlier, is that it did lose a lot of the identity of what Star Trek was supposed to be about. And it was,
Definitely
I think,
did.
supposed to be a vision of the future that was optimistic
An
about what human
optimistic
beings,
user, right?
right, what human beings could do and be. That said, Star Trek has also always been about social commentary about what's going on in the times. And I think in every series, you've had dark episodes. And some series are darker than others. I mean, I think about even kind of in what I consider the golden era, the Rick Berman produced era of the 90s, early 2000s. That even like say Deep Space Nine was a lot darker than Next Generation.
But one of the things that people complained about Deep Space Nine is that it felt like it was getting away from the Roddenberry optimism, hopefulness that was always. And so I guess that's part of what I'm asking is. Are we see, because one of the things I think that both of us liked about and still like about Strange New Worlds is that it felt like they were firmly replanting their feet in that optimism. The last episode of last season and the first one of this one, there's been this part of me that's getting worried. It's getting concerned that we're starting to do the whole trauma thing and focus more on how we respond to trauma. Because we even have had a couple of characters that are beginning to go a little dark in response to the trauma they've experienced. And I'm curious, do you think that's a trend that we're on? Have they said, well, we tried the optimism, it's not working, we're going to start bending back towards those? I hate to keep going back to the word trauma, but it is about response to trauma and the dangers of it.
I hope not. I hope that we can keep the balance. I think it's okay to have dark episodes, but I do think that you've got to hold on to the optimism. And you're right, it is one thing that we both enjoyed about Strange New Worlds. But I think the fact that we got both a dark episode and a lighter kind of fun episode together, I think speaks to the commitment. And I think that I would hope that they've looked and seen that the first 2 seasons have been amazingly successful. And especially critically and in terms of audience, audience reviews of it, that people have really liked it. So I hope that they keep that formula, because I think that's also what keeps it fun to watch, especially in kind of darker times as a nation. It seems that like some escapism is helpful too.
And I think we learned when we saw we've seen the mad success of Superman, $500 million already. That right now we're looking for some optimism and hope. So I'm hopeful that they don't keep going too far down that dark trail. Listen, we could have. I got so many more questions. It's so exciting to have the show back, but. Our show is really about the politics and theology that these movies and series bring up. So let's take a real quick break so we can come back and really dig into the theological and political perspectives that come up because of this show. Catch y'all on the other side of this drop.
Hello and welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. We are entering our Theopolitico segment where we will talk about the theology and politics of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So, Mark, I want to pick up on the thread that you had just been talking about.
Okay.
Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek thinking about what the human race could become, he was really influenced by secular humanism, but to
Mhm.
me, it always felt deeply religious because when I was looking at like the utopian future that Gene Roddenberry was talking about, it sounded to me a lot like what I learned about in church, the Basileia of God, like the creation of a better
Yeah.
world. So, I'm curious, Mark, do you think, like at this point in our nation's history, do
Mhm.
you think that we will reach a Star Trek future, or do you think we're heading more into the Handmaid's Tale territory here?
We are really sitting on the turning point of that, aren't we?
Mhm.
Um, I think yes, we have two paths in front of us, and they couldn't be more stark. It's more clear than it ever has been, in my opinion, in our history, in terms of we're going to have to pick one, and whichever one we head down is probably going to rule the day for quite a while. Um, I am not sure what the public's going to do, man, because really we are at the point. Trump has dug in so far and started installing fascism so deeply, um, and started bending and breaking the government in a way that's going to be hard to undo. That the system itself that was designed to protect from that isn't protecting it, and the parts that are supposed to protect have started being dismantled. So it is going to take a large outcry from the public, from the populace. We are going to have to be in the streets and disrupting things, not destroying things, but disrupting the flow of economy, disrupting the flow of what life looks like in order to change things. I don't know how bad it's going to have to get before the general populace is willing to do that. The problem is if they let it go too far, it's not going to matter if they do it. So how do we motivate and incentivize folks for doing it? It- I'm an optimist. I
Mhm.
believe somehow I wouldn't be doing all the work that you and I and so many other people are doing, trying to educate and motivate folks, if I didn't think we're going to make this happen. I want it to happen sooner than later, though. I'm getting tired. Well, I mean, what do
Yeah.
you think, man? What
Yeah, I
do
don't
you
blame you.
feel? Do you feel strongly one way or the other?
I have always believed that we were on a path that would eventually lead to a more utopian future.
Yeah.
I've always believed that we will be able to, as human beings, put aside our differences for the betterment of all. I've held on to hope that we could create a society that wasn't bound up in greed, and we could eventually eliminate the need for capitalistic ventures and for money and for certainly monetized medicine and all, and
Hmm.
we could let human flourishing be the goal of our lives.
Yeah.
And never have I really questioned that, I don't think, until
I
recently.
sense a but. I sense a but.
When it has really felt like I'm not so sure. I don't know that I have the same faith that human beings are going to eventually be able to get past everything that I
Yeah.
always have. And I do think to like in the Star Trek narrative that what ends up happening is that there's a World War III where a significant portion of the human population is knocked out
Mm.
before humans are finally like, enough of this. Let's put this aside and do something else. And so I really hope that we don't have to get to some kind of a drastic
Yeah.
measure like that, or some kind of catastrophic event for us to
Agreed.
finally say, hey, we can we can do better than this. But it feels a lot more like we're headed towards Gilead than the United Federation of
Unfortunately, I really do. I feel like we're at the tipping point. It's
yeah.
It's the midterm. It's next year's midterms.
Yeah.
It's what happens between now and next year's midterms, how much we don't put up with, and the anger and the involvement of the public prevents them from changing in order to win the midterms.
Yeah.
If we do enough and we can win the midterms, it all changes for the better. If we don't do enough between now and then,
yeah,
the rest of it's just it's written in stone for at least a decade or more.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It's scary times, and I think that just when you put up the two values of these different works of fiction, which, man, this is why I love talking about this stuff, because it so illustrates like possibilities. But like, we've got a democracy that values diversity and education and the strengths that everyone can bring, versus a theocracy which oppresses other people, uses women as incubators for children, and it just seems
treats women as cattle. Let's just be real frank. I mean, it's disgusting.
Yes. And so when you've got the White House putting out tweets or whatever it is that they're putting out now, social media posts about like justifying like being with men being with younger women and all kinds of horrendous things. It's really terrifying. So I'm with you. I hope that we can pivot towards the optimism. I want to shift gears a little bit. In episode 1, number 1's Illyrian blood is used to save Captain Battelle. And so, of course, the Illyrian blood has been genetically modified. And so Illyrians are illegal because of the genetic alteration, and they were accused of eugenics. So I've been thinking about this in terms of like where we are scientifically in the United States right now and the things that we have the ability to do and not to do. Is there ever a time when genetic alteration could be acceptable, as we think about diseases, as we think about where we are as human beings? Is that okay or not?
I think it's. I'm gonna. How I sometimes way oversimplify everything. As long as it's helping people and not hurting people.
And as how I always give you a dichotomy,
Right, like you always want me to go one way or the other. It's like, pick one, Mark, pick one. As long as it's helping people and not hurting people, then yes, let's improve humanity. Let's move in a better direction. Let's make us all healthier. But if you're doing it only for a select few people, if doing it hurts other people, no. It's, for me, it really is. It's we try to over intellectualize this. I think the argument is it helping everyone? If so, yes. Even if it's not helping everyone, if it's helping the people it needs to help but not hurting anyone, then let's freaking do it. Let's do it. And that can get complex of what helping and hurting looks like, but we all have a basic sense of what that means. Is it improving people's lives? Is it making people's lives worse? Is it making some people more important than others? Then we have problems. But otherwise, I think it's, you know me, I tend to oversimplify things, and that's where I hit on that.
Or you succinctly say it in a wonderfully articulate way that helps that helps us realize how much it is overcomplicated.
I will take the succinct part, but I don't know about articulate.
I think so, man. Because look, Jesus has told us to love, and it seems like that's pretty clear. Like if we're doing something that's loving, that's better, then yes. If we're not,
Yeah.
then no. I think you're
Fair
right. I
enough.
think it can get complicated depending on what you're doing. But when you're talking about, say, a fetus in utero that you know is going to be born with a number of different health problems, but if you have the ability to genetically modify those while in utero, then why let that suffering take place?
Yeah, and it
You know,
does get complicated
yeah,
of what right now our moral perspectives about what makes a person okay
yeah,
is a little off.
yeah,
Like we need to recognize that there are things that we call disabilities that actually are benefits to society. They're more
yeah,
disabilities because of how we treat the person we identify as being disabled. If we can start making the shift to recognizing that it is a different, they're just simply differently abled, and
yeah,
understand what their contribution can be. So there are little nuances that we have to get at and understand more
yeah.
fully before we start making these kind of giant brushstroke decisions about it. But it still does boil down to, if we've got everything else in line, is it helping more than it's hurting?
Yeah, that's a great point, and a great point about how complicated it can be, like
Mm,
to make the kind of ethical decisions about what kind of genetic changes we even can make. But yeah, it's an interesting place to be at scientifically. I want
yeah,
to
it certainly
squeeze
is.
in one more question.
Yeah.
So in episode 2, Spock puts aside his own happiness to
Which, by the way,
restore
I like
everything.
2 better than I liked 1. And I
Me
know
too.
that's probably a contra. Oh, okay, good. I thought
I,
that was probably.
No, I loved episode 2. I thought it was a
I
lot of
did
fun.
too.
Honestly, episode
That
1,
felt like Star Trek. Like that felt so Star Trek. I was just
it it did to
soaking it
me
in.
too. And
Yeah.
I'm fine with episode. It's kind of like, at the I think the first season or something of Next Generation where there are those aliens that are birthed inside people. It's kind of like Alien, and
Yeah.
xenomorphs in people. Like, yeah, like that episode's over the top and overly dramatic and stuff. Like, I could do without that. But like this kind of episodes it's fun. But
Yeah.
Spock puts aside his own happiness in order to restore things. Do we ever have an obligation to set aside our own happiness for the good of others?
Of course. Of course. I'm gonna go back to, is it helping more people than it's hurting people?
Yeah.
And yeah, there are times when our own happiness, us being happy, hurts more people than it helps. And that we have to be aware of that. We are part of a society, we are part of a community. In my way of understanding theology, we are part of a body, that we are all connected in one way. We can call it love, we can call it God, we can call it energy. I don't care what you call it, but I think we've seen over and over again that we are connected. So yes,
Mm.
sometimes an individual does have to make a difficult choice about their own happiness, in my opinion, in
Yeah.
order to better the happiness of the larger body that we're all a part of.
Yeah.
Again, maybe I've oversimplified it, but that is kind of my approach to it. And
Yeah.
I feel like through all of our discussions, you sit in the same place. Am I?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we are living in a society where people are primarily only concerned with their own happiness, power, and greed, and so
Unfortunately, yeah.
or at least those in leadership certainly have been, and I
Yeah.
think that that's incredibly problematic. On the other hand, I think there are also people who take that whole "love your neighbor as yourself" thing so seriously that they forget that also means that you have to love yourself as much as you love your neighbor. So it also
Mm,
means you have to take care of yourself. And so I think
absolutely.
there's an element of that in there too. Like certainly in the
Sure.
situation where Spock's happiness would be to the detriment of everyone else because he'd be controlling all their lives, right? That's the kind of stuff we see in our society. But I think
Yeah.
we also need to be mindful of what our emotional state is, how we're feeling, how we're doing, and take care of ourselves. So I have a bunch more questions because Star Trek is rife with political and
So
theological
good.
commentary. But if we talk about that, you know what? We will not get to our favorite segment, the Make Me Look Stupid segment. And we've
Not
got to
okay.
get there. Not okay. We got to get there. So why don't we take a break, take a drink, and come back and try to make each other look stupid?
welcome to our Make Me Look Stupid segment, where we proceed to try to make our co-hosts look stupid, either by asking them a question they can't answer, or sometimes we make ourselves look stupid by recognizing that there's a question that we can't answer and we want to answer from our co-host, or sometimes we ask for a prediction so that we can make our co-host look stupid in the future. We're time travelers that way. It's a science fiction fantasy show anyway, so we like to do that from time to time. So, Caleb, honestly, mine are all just questions of curiosity, and I've got 3 of them. 2 of them I feel more strongly about. One of them's kind of fun and silly, and I'm trying to decide which direction I want to go in. So what I'm going to do so that since I am the man in charge at this segment.
Yes.
I am.
Yes.
I'm running
Your
the show
segment,
right now.
whatever you want to do.
Running the show.
Yeah.
I am going to give myself a little extra time to parsec through these and make my choice and pretend to be benevolent and let you go first.
I love it. Thank you, benevolent co-host. I've got a question about episode 2, the wedding episode that we both agree that we both liked. Who knows if other people liked it or not, but we both did. So does it really matter?
Big
Our
time.
happiness is secured, right?
That's right. Our happiness is prioritized over their happiness.
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we determined in the last
That's what we determined.
Look, in episode 2, there's this entity that serves as Spock's bartender and Spock and Chapel's wedding planner, and he is adjusting their entertainment, and then my question is this entity a Q, or do you think it's something else?
100%. His dad's voice was Q. That is the.
Was it the actor? Was it John?
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now. Yes,
John Delancey.
Yes, I heard it and I went, "Oh, that's Q."
Did you look it up?
I had to go look it up, and it was Q. So this is Q's son, which is interesting because it's Q's son interacting with Star Trek characters before we see Q interact with Star Trek characters. But yes, so there was this great debate because Trelian, or whatever his name is, Trelian, he was involved in an earlier episode of Strange New Worlds. And there was this debate of whether he could be an earlier version or a younger version of Q. And I'm so glad that they gave all of the hardcore fans a little tip of the hat and said, okay, now you know this is the very young 8,000-year-old son of Q. I love that they gave us that. I love that they gave us that.
You know, the fun thing about that, too, I mean, obviously, yes, I think so, too. Although I thought, is that John Delancey? But I didn't go and look it up. So I'm glad that you did.
I was like, oh, could it be?
But I think the fun thing about Qs too is that they exist out of time and space as we know it. And so that even though it's earlier, that does not preclude that Q has already had his interactions with Picard and his crew either.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a fun
outside of time and space. I like it. I like it. Very good.
Did I buy you enough time now, Mark, to make a decision?
I'm going to reveal my deception, much like Q's deception and Traylan's deception. I wasn't buying time. I was letting you go first, so you only got to ask one question. Now I'm going to ask all 3 of mine.
that is very deceptive. Yes.
Like I played that out. Yeah. Okay. So my first question. Okay. I'm not joking. I just 3 questions here.
Okay.
Do we get Captain Kirk in the seat before the series is over? We have him in the show. Is he going to be in the seat, and how early will he be in the seat if he is?
I think he's going to be in the seat in the last season. I think it's going to deal with Pike's, eventual, his accident and all.
Right.
And I think they're going to try that as a backdoor pilot to see if they can then launch this series. Yeah, with Kirk leading on.
God, I would be please.
That's right. What do you think?
I think they are, and I think it might be. I think we might even get him just shortly after the mid of season 5.
Yeah,
and have the injury to Pike and everyone struggling with it, and have Kirk come to leadership in the way that he helps guide everyone in relationship to losing this incredible captain, and that what kind of gets him promoted, that people see his innate leadership abilities and pull him in because of it. So yeah.
And man, Pike is such a good captain.
I love him.
And
I'm worried, man.
Mount is such a good actor.
He's starting to go a little. He's one of the two that I was talking about going the PTSD trauma led. I'm getting a little worried because I don't want him. I don't want him to go down that road.
Yeah,
I like him. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Yeah. Next question. I don't know if you've seen, social media has revealed that in an upcoming episode or season, I think it's next season, we're going, much like our musical season, we're going to get a Muppet season.
I just saw that. Yes, yes.
A Muppet show episode.
Yeah.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Star Trek has done all these strange things.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, honestly, are the Muppets just far too familiar that you're never really going to be able to just sink in? Like, is it that they're going to constantly pull you out of the show because Muppets are Muppets no matter what they're in? I don't know. What do you think?
I'm excited about it. I don't think it's jumped the shark yet. I don't think this will cause them to jump the shark. I think that I have faith that the writers are going to be able to pull it off.
All right.
And I want to say, just in the same way that they pulled off the musical episode and the crossover episode with Lower Decks.
That was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, we'll see about this. And I'm like, oh, that was fantastic. They really did that. I have faith that I also think, man, that helps keep us going down the dark path. It's hard to be real dark when you got Muppets. The Muppets.
Unless you go Dark Crystal or that kind of direction. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, although I really do think it is going to be an episode where I don't sink in quite as deep because it's going to be Muppets. I think it's going to be brilliant. I think I'm going to love every minute of it. Yeah. But I think that I won't get quite as bought into it.
Yeah,
because of it. All right, the last one I've already tipped my hat towards. Is Pike's arc heading darker? Is he going to end up being more of a commander by crisis rather than sort of the principled captain that we've come to know so far?
I think it's only natural as he gets closer to this accident that he has seen that it will affect him more and more. I think that is a natural arc for him to go on.
Sure.
I think that ultimately what I think is going to happen here is I think we are going to continue to see his optimism shine through, even as he deals with this and ultimately decides that he is going to do what's right and save lives. And so I don't think we're going to see him discover a way out of it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to have to pay the piper here, and he's going to end up facing these consequences. And I don't think that it's going to become such a dark arc that it's going to fundamentally change his character. What do you think? You think we're going to go?
I don't think there's any doubt. And unfortunately, I think it's partly because of the writers and maybe the larger organization saying that we need a little more angst in the show and not so much we need a little more conflict. I think that's why we're going to get him going down that trail that's going to become darker. La'an, I think we're going to see, after having the gore issues and we saw at the end of that episode of even the bright wedding episode, we see at the end of it, we see them recognizing them, the enemy in the reflection. I think we're going to see a couple of characters going darker. He's naturally one of them that's going to be, and I don't think there's any chance that he escapes what he's already seen. And honestly, I'd be upset if he did. I don't want it retconned or anything. This
Yeah.
is his story. Let's
Yeah.
let him live his story out, and let's see it in this iteration of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to see him also be a good, faithful captain to
Yeah.
say I want him to be the hero. But it also every time I watch Pike, I think, you know what? It would be fun to be a part of his crew. And I think that's
Oh, yeah.
something that we
Agreed.
really haven't seen quite the same way before him. So
Yeah.
I hope he continues to make me feel like I'm a part of his crew and I'm having fun being on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Agreed.
knows?
Agreed. Well, listen, we are at the end of the show. We need to decide what to do next. I alluded in earlier that we had kind of got a mix up of what we might be covering. So I propose that the thing that I thought we were going to be doing today, we do next week. And that is Fantastic Four First Steps. And Caleb, I got to tell you, I've seen it twice already.
Yeah.
It is good. I'm not going to go any further than that. It is good.
No spoilers.
I will say I will be at the IMAX theater at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to watch it again.
I love that, man. And it only seems fair. We went with the one I thought we were doing today. So it's only fair that we do the one that you thought we were doing next week.
Fair
And
enough. I like that.
I feel like I feel just a sense of jealousy that you have seen this twice already, and I have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
And
I feel
so
bad for you.
I can't wait. Maybe tonight. Tonight might be the night.
Fantastic. I hope you get to see it sooner than later for sure.
Thank you.
And listen, all of you folks who have been tuned in and who are listening to us, we truly appreciate your presence. You are the reason we get to do this. It makes us so happy. It's our favorite part of our weeks to get to do this, to get to talk about it, to get to reflect theologically, politically on all of this. So thank you. Don't forget to check out all of our sponsors. They also make this happen. So with that said, we appreciate you, and we will see you the next time on the Moonshine Jesus Show.
Moonshine